Now we get to the hard part. I have more water. There's been a lot of piss breaks I've been cutting out. I'll soon the extended cut with all the piss breaks added back in, amplified, reverbed, bass boosted, along with all of the outtakes and flub ups. I stutter a lot. See, even just then.
Bro, look at this nigga. Looking like the fucking Major from Helsing. I bet you call your subs the Millennium Organization, huh? Yeah, I know that's exactly what you fucking call them. Over there fucking making Black Souls videos like we ain't 2 of the only 10 niggas who know what Black Souls is. You need to fucking quit. You need to quit before I come over there and I treat you like a... I am ending up on a watch list for that joke. Fucking uncultured, uncoordinated ass nigga. Fucking, I beat you at mini golf 3 times in the same fucking day. In the same fucking day. That's because your glasses crooked. You ain't got no fucking depth perception. Like you ain't got no super glue. You ain't got no duct tape. Nothing to fix that shit. Get your bands up. Get your bands up. You know, maybe if you fix your crooked ass glasses, you get some bitches on your dick. I don't fucking know. I mean, look at me.
Fuck, I should take fucking speaking classes. God! So, how the hell do you break the endless cycle of pain and suffering imposed on you, designed to specifically keep you in said loop of pain and suffering? Easy. So you talk to a doll that tells you to go back in time, who then asks, and then you ask your weird, mysterious goth friend, who's actually a puppet of a higher god, to not only go back in time, but also grab a magical crown that will crown you the King of Winterbell. It doesn't do that. So somehow, Grimm just goes back in time, going through a door surrounded by snowmen, and arrives in a Crimean hospital.
Just shroom sandwich, not psychedelic but delicious. Got no bitches, no women either for that matter. I'm higher on scattered thoughts than most get on battering pipes. I make a living off my list of gripes. I've got
/ insane asylum. This is why it has to take place after the Crimean War, but also it takes place before World War I, because I feel like it would be mentioned. And also there's Model Ts and gas-powered lamps in the real world, or at least the vision of the real world we're given in Brick World. World War I for Black Souls 3, that'd be fucking sick. Now, Grimm is under the care of Florence Nightingale, who is also like Grimm and came from the real world along with a squad of other doctors and soldiers, only for them to be brutally murdered in the rabbit hole. And due to the effects of Wonderland / Elysium, they're like the same thing, or whatever the fuck. She seemed to have somehow turned into a furry, or a ghost. And the furry form is just a creation of the old ones. Because so if you kill Florence Nightingale, you don't get her book. But there's a ghost that roams the halls of the Crimean place. That's very scary and screams a lot. But you like satiate it by going back in time. No. By going through a scene through the Crimean War full of skeletons. Then once you go to a graveyard in that scene, the ghost gives you Florence Nightingale's book. As we learn from the first game, books are people. You only get books from the people, not from, like, the fake people. Florence Nightingale might be a ghost. Or a furry. Because the furry says that her body was changed by the old ones, just like Grimm's was. Or they're the same. I don't know. That part's actually hard. Whatever. Whether Florence Nightingale is a furry with a massive gun or a terrifying ghost that doesn't neither allow Grimm to leave due to him being too sick and trying to stop the infection or whatever. In the hospital is also Victoria's sister, Lingerina, who is going around dressed as an angel, saving people by sending them to heaven by just fucking killing them. Florence Nightingale is very upset by this. So Grimm has to wander around this asylum full of patients, and the only way out is by collecting 4 flames scattered around the asylum, and then it brings it to a battlefield in the Crimean War in a hallway with a spooky ghost. And once the 4 flames are gathered, Grimm is able to access the closed-off stairwell and meet face-to-face with Florence. Now the furry is actually a very sympathetic character. A normal human, just like Grimm, thrust into an insane world. She just wishes to do what she knows best and help the sick. Apparently, she used to be friends, or is friends, with a plague doctor named Blackwell in Lutwich Town. And Blackwell is trying to make a powerful sedative before eventually, most likely overdosing on her own medicine and going insane. Luckily, though, she leaves a note for Grimm that is addressed to Miss Nightingale. But, unfortunately, it doesn't look like the good doctor is here to listen. Grimm must get back in his room before he gets hurt by the outside world. But Grimm must find his dearly beloved, no matter what. So, unfortunately, for possibly the first time in this story, 2 people must fight not because they want to, but because their beliefs simply cannot coexist. She claims that she is simply a doctor who wishes to rid the world of disease, save as many people as she can. Yet her hospital is full of the insane and dying. They all have so many diseases, and she has so little time. Scared that she won't be able to do nothing more than comfort the dying in their last breath, Florence, along with the Dr. Jekyll, creates a plant to make a sort of immortality solvent and inject the patients with it, turning them into insane ghouls. They may not be sane, but at least they're alive. She claims that she can even relate to Grimm in a way, for her body has also been altered by the Great Ones, and her life has also been ruined. Knowing that Grimm and her are in a similar boat, she wants to keep him in the hospital for fear of his unstable soul, bringing ruin to all. But of course, Grimm has to get to Alice. After a fierce fight, the doctor lies there on the ground. But instead of executing her, Grimm simply shows Florence the letter from Blackwell. The contents of the letter somehow stir a small change of heart. And she pledges not only to let Grimm pass, but also pledges to help him out when she's needed. Taking the space elevator that's behind her, Grimm goes up and up and up until it crashes. So it stops and crashes back down all the way down to what really should be a familiar sight at this point, a jail cell. One last jail cell. Except this time, there's no Jean to save him. And instead, Grimm unfortunately has the company of an enigmatic playwright, Andre Lord. I don't know if I'm saying that right, probably not. An owl man who won't even turn his head to see us. But he's actually the best character in the whole game. But for now, he more or less just tells Grimm to go fuck off. And now, snow. Snow as far as the eye can see. A white beach on the other side of the shore. A massive castle. It can only be Winterfell. Along the way, Grimm runs into another girl named Gerda, who seems to be looking for a friend named Kai, and a ghost hunting knight who Grimm meets in a previous battlefield of the two vyres for the power of Winterbell. Aligned, landed, values strength above all, and Eunice, the unicorn who has a much more nuanced philosophy. All men are cringe and dumb and should be castrated. And all women should be chaste virgins forever. She got this philosophy from apparently watching her parents have sex when she was a child. She may also work for Node, when Node was the White Queen of... side note, Node used to be the White Queen of Winterbell. Winterbell is Node's garden. We're in it, stuck in time. No, it's frozen in time, and we went back in time in it, so we can go get the crown and meet the Grand Guignol, because the Grand Guignol in the main time is a doll, too powerful. I don't know. But if you meet it in Winterbell, that's when you kill. Spoiler alert: you have to go fight the Grand Guignol. It's fucking stupid. They both ask Grimm whether Grimm wants to join them, but in the end, it doesn't really matter, as both paths lead to the same outcome. Running into Karnaki again, the knight just calls Grimm a fucking schizo and gives him a sedative. Grimm walks across a massive chain in a windless valley, only for the fucking owl man himself, Andre Deloyd, the Prince of Hell, to come flying out of nowhere and go on and on about how Grimm is a little bitch and how he sucks and cringe and gay and stupid and dumb, before shooting him in the face 13 times, and then they have an epic battle on the chain, possibly losing. For fighting an owl, Grimm also just casually murders an invisible Wendigo and talks to Shogoth named Sho, who really wants to fuck and make babies despite being an acidic slime girl, who reveals that she may have been a failed Alice replica. I don't know how that works. And she somehow, for some reason, because of this, she holds some form of jealousy over the real Alice because she's a failed Alice. I don't know how you be a failed Alice. Finally, after a lot of walking, Grimm approaches the gates of the Castle Winterbell, a kingdom frozen in time and Node's home. But unfortunately, the gates are either destroyed or open due to after a battle of the Lion and Unicorn, or had run into each other. So Grimm would have to take a back entrance if the gate's destroyed. Only to get backstabbed by a sudden Lloyd when Grimm opens a random treasure chest. No, it's a lever. One of the two. Exploring the ruined castle and fighting through the few remaining guards that still roam the battlements and halls are really hard. Grimm does eventually find the Kai that Gerda was searching for. So Kai begs Grimm to kill him because he believes that when Gerda finds him, it'll be bad, and if she does, it is very bad. She has her own mind realm, white space, from a Mori. And to reveal that Kai is her creation. Just a figment of her imagination. And then she becomes the White Witch. There's a lot of fairy tale references in Black Souls, of course. Gerda and Kai's quest line is the only one I would say is actually required reading. Anyone who tells you that, oh, you have to read this, this, and this, and this for any video game, prerequisite video games, is fucking retarded, dumb, and gay. Don't listen to them. Sometimes it can give you a greater appreciation of the work, but if the work is good enough, you won't need to read anything before playing it or experiencing it. This goes for Library of Runia. And the one game I can't fucking remember. The English title is Wonderful Everyday, that one. Don't read books. Deeper inside the castle, Carnegie is searching for treasure. Cake. and is thinking about whether the bridge to the treasure is a trap or not. Grimm tells him yes, it is a trap, and he leaves. And he pledges to help him in his time of need. Also, if you kill Kai, Gerda will also pledge to help Grimm in his time of need. But Carnegie and Grimm aren't the only knights in the castle. In the courtyard, waiting for Grimm is none other than the Black Vanguard himself, Linda Mia. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Who is here for one purpose and one purpose only. To rip Grimm's black soul from his fucking heart. And after that, he's gonna kill Red Hood too. Grimm's sin are too much for him to keep going. And if you're schizoid like me, any proper knight of the round would see to having the traitorous Lancelot's head on a pike. Not only for the betrayal of his king, but for the murder of his friends and compatriots. For betraying the Black Trial, Grimm must not be allowed to stand. He may have escaped justice once before, or at the end of the world. But for Linda Mia, he lives to judge sin. My throat hurts. So, Grimm and Linda Mia, or if you're based in Red Pill, like me, and the other guy who made the theory, Lancelot and Gawain, have an all-out brawl. Actually just beating the shit out of each other. Just actually beating the living shit out of each other. Armstrong, Raiden, standing here, I realize you are just like me, trying to make history. That. But an RPG maker. Anyway, that distraction aside, and with one last battle with either the lion or the unicorn, that ends up with Grimm killing one and Mabel brutally murdering the other. Like, fuck, what the fuck? Grimm runs into Mabel once more after she followed him through Winterbell and possibly being a guide a little bit. I think, I don't know, not really. It's finally time, with no other obstacles in the way. The only step forward is the White City itself. And Winterbell proper is a sight to behold. A pristine white city by the ocean, covered in snow. Here is where all the many daughters Grimm has made with the residents of Wonderland can laugh, play, learn, and be raised properly, and in secret. Winterbell even holds many hidden truths, like Prickett's brutal self-hatred. Before Grimm is made to grip the girl of Nihility's hands, the world has one last play for him. The puppets all gather round, and the stage is set for the story of the Liddell family household. This part's complicated. I have to breaking the narrative. I'm going to explain gameplay. So it's actually the best sequence in the game. The RPG Maker Dark Souls inspired game that you've been playing this entire time has suddenly turned into an old school adventure style horror visual novel. Here you play as the actual Lewis Carroll, and you act as a tutor for the three Liddell sisters: Lorena, the oldest, Edith, the youngest, and Alice. And the four of you go about your day-to-day sessions. The best way to describe this sequence is role-playing as an actual schizophrenic. Newspapers have headlines of the murder of the three Liddell girls and the burning down of their home. One day, there's a knock at the door for a disheveled-looking girl to appear and claim that this is her house, only for Lewis Carroll to slam the door in her face. And at night, bad things happen. And eventually, Lewis Carroll goes insane and horribly murders the three girls. He nails Alice up to the ceiling, gives Edith some drugs, she throws up and dies, and makes Lorena bleh, fun stuff. But it's okay, because they're all puppets. Yay! What this part is seemingly a convoluted trap to trap the crawling ones is because the crawling ones has been following Grimm the entire time. And now, with the crawling god out of the way, it's time to finally embrace the end and step into nothingness and find that crown. After walking down a very long set of stairs, Mabel reveals that she's been playing Grimm for nothing more but a fool, and trapping her and Grimm, and splitting her and Grimm behind bars, revealing that all of this was part of her master plan in order to bamboozle the crawling ones and have Grimm all to itself. Now that her part is over, her master will finally dispose of her. Except Grimm refuses to believe that. In a desperate attempt to save someone, anyone, for once in his miserable life, he tries to break down the gate again and again, and again and again. He batters against the magical gate as the walls slowly come closing in on Mabel, who can't believe Grimm is trying to save her. She desperately tries to get him to stop, to just give up. It's not worth it. She betrayed him, and why should he save her? But Grimm refuses, and clutching at straws, he continues to batter away at the gate. Mabel is moved by his actions and confesses that the wine she always drank never actually tasted of anything. Never got her drunk or anything. She just liked the smell. She confesses that while she may be just another puppet of her outer one master, she hopes that maybe, just maybe, their time together meant something. And she asks him for one more favor, to close his eyes. It would be impolite to see her get crushed by the walls, slowly encroaching in on her. Of course, Grimm closes his eyes, and hears the sound of a body breaking. Opening them, he simply sees blood seeping out of the wall. And the gears now spin and turn, louder and louder than ever. The gears that had been controlling Grimm's, that had been screeching at his brain, finally have an end. There's one last obstacle before him and the Grand Guignol. The Prince of Hell himself, Andre Delord, returns for one last duel. Creation is a self-indulgent, lonely game. You cannot shine on this stage without a critic to evaluate you. To accept something new, the audience weighs it against the works of the past. My child has to be the masterpiece, far beyond all those lackluster works. Fairy tales. Bah! Some stories for brats selling well. This is the ugly world of adults, money, drugs, women, painted all over with the foul rainbow. To hell with fairy tales. I'll smash to pieces the fake eyes that won't even see reality. I'm jealous! Yes, I am! Why did my child choose you over me? There's no one more suited to be a creator than me! No one wants your stories! Think of the kids and hang yourself this moment, or else I'll have to put an end to you myself! Go ahead and put an end to this edgelord. What a great character. Shows up at the last expansion of the game, brings nothing to the plot, spells out the main themes of the game, tells the MC to kill himself, and then proceeds to kill himself, and proceeds to kill him right before the final boss. Lord seems to be in the same boat as Grimm. He even sees himself as a sort of a rival, the dark near to him. Jealous that the Grand Guignol, his creation, chose Grimm over him. Lord seems to hate fairy tales and everything they have to offer, believing that stories should be brutally realistic about terrible things. Lord also seems to be being used by the Grand Guignol to act as sort of its guardian and protector, trapping Lord's mind in a process and causing him to go insane, or more insane than he already was. He calls Grimm a chess piece at a few points, and even mocks him for being nothing more than one. for being controlled by the gears of the Grand Guignol, while he, the enlightened playwright versus the virgin author, is protected by his more realistic, insensible stories. While Grimm has to go around and get popular and famous because he writes stories for children. Acceptable, mainstream stuff. Lloyd makes true art in the dark, working on the masterpiece of all masterpieces that will shock in all the world. But none of that happens. Lloyd is simply just a pawn of a greater game, and a pathetic man who's just jealous of his peers. Literally me, for real, for real. But now, finally, I'm not bullshitting you this time. There's nothing standing in Grimm's way between him and a doll called the Grand Guignol. Calling upon the favors of those he actually did save in Winterfell, Carnegie, and Florence, the four of them confront an actual deus ex machina, both in the literary term and how it's quite convenient that this thing is the answer to all of Grimm's problems, kind of. But also, being a machine god, created by using the power stolen from Mary Sue and placed at the very bottom of the world in the Dream Library itself. The stage is set for one last act, a curtain call, if you will, as the very world rises up to tear the actors limb from limb for daring to exit stage left. But the show must go on, of course. Nothing stops the show. It will outlive us all and take its place in history. But everything has to end. Even the puppets of the stage come back and fight, the lion and unicorn being nothing more than said puppets. It is a long, hard battle, fighting against an all-powerful machine god. There's also the very world itself. But the vile spirit must be gone. We must not fear and instead carry the flame of hope and advance, because I'm sure we're almost there. But now, it's time for the curtain call. With the machine god destroyed, the entirety of Wonderland collapses in on itself. The Crawling One breaks free of its imprisonment and attacks Grimm, trying to claim its prize. Only for Node to tell us goodbye. Fight off the Crawling Ones so Grimm can escape. Jumping from collapsing floor to collapsing floor, Grimm is barely able to escape. In fact, he doesn't. He misses a ledge that's just too high for him. He falls, only to be saved by the person that's been with Grimm this entire journey. A blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl. In a red hood. Red reaches out and desperately clings onto Grimm, trying his damnedest to pull him up, to finally put an end to this nightmare once and finally for all. To maybe run away together and put it all behind them. But unfortunately, the past has a way of clinging onto you. Grimm looks down to see that the Crawling Ones is pulling him down into hell. If he doesn't do something, they'll both be dragged into the abyss together. So thinking quickly, he pulls out his sword. In a desperate attempt for a man who failed to save anyone, to finally save someone. He hacks his own arm off to a teary-eyed, screaming... He hacks his own arm off to the teary-eyed, screaming protest of his friend. His arm falls off. He falls into hell. How long has it been? Grimm thinks to himself, while the little bit of consciousness he had left. Almost completely absorbed by an all-expansive, mind-bending, horrific creature in a pit of his own making. He lies there, slowly losing his mind, drifting into absolution. This is the end. Nothing will remain. But at least, he won't hurt anyone ever again. Who was he again? You're Grimm. I'm sorry, because of me you've suffered so. And time stands still. After spending 2 whole games looking for Alice, she's the one who finds us. With that little sliver of they have left. Alice, the real Alice. The one Grimm fell in love with all those years ago in that moonlit library, leads him to the light. Asking, no begging, for Grimm to forget her. It would be easier for everyone that way. Live his life, move on without her. For she cannot leave this place. But Grim refuses to do so, vowing to always remember Alice and to save her, to finally reunite. But for now, it's over. Free and into the light. Grim, unfortunately, has a birthday to attend to. The morning sun is beautiful. It is. Hey, could you clasp my hand? Yes, certainly. Today's the happiest day of my life. If only it could last forever. I'm sure it will. Goodbye, Red. And with that, so goes the future Black Souls content from this channel. At least for the time being, until the new game comes out. Well, it is the game and community that single-handedly brought me to 1,000 subscribers. For that, I will always be thankful. Even if the community is full of a bunch of degenerates. And now there are way more creators in the English-speaking community than when I first started making videos on it almost 4 years ago. Some I've even found pretty decent success, such as Frapolo, Board Ronin, Leonidas, Palm DSG, White Wings of Ilya, who made a mod for a bunch of members of that community, and Lorino of Gaming, I think that's right, with a common joke that I am now only the 4th or 5th most popular Black Souls tuber. So I guess it's time for me to finally move on. And, of course, you can only exploit a micro-niche community for so long. Instead, it's time to move on to a different micro-niche community.
Open the curtain.
But what's next?
Lights on.
Or maybe I can finally fulfill what this channel was originally made for.
I never thought I'd see the day that tits would betray me.